Marriage nowadays is seen as a sucker bet. Why participate in an institution where there's a 50% chance of failure, and as a man, you could have half of what you built taken away from you in court? These are real concerns which should not be ignored. But we're overlooking the real issue. The people participating are not fit for the institution. 99% of people today are getting married for the wrong reasons. They don't want to be lonely. They found their soulmate. They want a baby. These are all erroneous reasons to get married, and the people doing so are the sole reason for their own marital woes. Still, you can't have strong communities without strong families. So should people just grin and bear it? No, they really shouldn't. Rather, you need to understand what your role is in the marriage and what your spouse's role is in the marriage before you get involved. Marriage is for men who have gone out into the world and realized their fortune. They have carved out their piece of the world and established themselves economically. Once they have done this and have amassed wealth, they then seek to have progeny to pass their wealth to, that it may endure throughout the generations. This excludes lottery winners and trust fund kids. The objective is not to get wealth, but to build it. You are passing down the ability to create value in this world, which has been proven by economic success. Your children will certainly have their share of privileges being your children, but you will ruin them by giving them a life of unearned benefits. After having established himself, a man takes a woman who will be charged with bringing forth and rearing this child in the man's image. She will assist in preparing the child to take on what the husband has built when they come of age. Are you ready to be head of household? Are you a leader who is worthy of a woman's submission and deference? Don't focus so much on marital bliss. Sexual access is a perk of marriage, but it's not the goal of marriage. Never chase sex into a marriage. Is the woman you are choosing willing to subject herself to your authority? Your wife is your helper. She is not your competitor, nor is she your partner. A general and a private are not partners. They exist in a hierarchy of authority. This has nothing to do with romance or love or companionship. These are all perks, but overall, marriage is a vehicle to establish enduring generational wealth. Most people really shouldn't get married, not because marriage is bad, but because they're bad for marriage. It's like handing a loaded gun to a toddler. Someone is going to get hurt. There's a reason white supremacy vehemently attacks any of us attempting to establish an economic floor. They have no problem with us getting married in the economically impoverished state we're in because it will just be garbage in, garbage out. They know our marital attempts are untenable while we're in poverty. You can have children out of wedlock, but when talking about an enduring legacy which lasts for generations, this doesn't happen outside of intact families. The Apostle Paul advised us to leave marriage alone and told us if we engage in it, we will face turmoil. He understood the economic situation our people were in while being in captivity and how it would make marriage difficult. We have no kingdom and no economy, and you cannot effectively raise a family under such conditions. Having no authority over your own finances or your own life makes marriage practically impossible. Nevertheless, I would never tell people to forego marriage, but rather to understand what it takes to be successful at it and to prepare themselves for the task. You don't give 9-year-olds a driver's license and allow them to drink. In the same way, you can't just have anyone go into marriage. Most people would do better in leaving the opposite sex alone. If you're not able to build wealth, marriage isn't for you. Hypergamy is real, and it's coming to a relationship near you. In fact, it's already there. You will deal with it. And if you don't have yourself together, it will deal with you. Our parents and grandparents lived through an economic anomaly that will never happen again. We will never go back to a time where you can support a family on minimum wage due to the cost of living being dirt cheap. Economically, your parents played on easy mode. This current generation plays on the highest difficulty setting there is. Some will say, but there are wealthy people who also fail at marriage. Financial stability is a major factor in a successful marriage, but it's not a silver bullet. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. If you marry a whore, or a combative woman, or a conniving woman, she will ruin you. Having money puts you in a position to facilitate a successful marriage, but it does not make you immune to a spouse of poor character. Wealth is not a panacea for character flaws. Your wealth, your health, and yourself need to be in order before you enter this institution. There are many wealthy people who've not dealt with their personal issues who end up making terrible relationship choices. Your ability to generate wealth and your morals and character are not one and the same. Both need to be in order. You need to know yourself as well as the person you marry. Your spouse of choice needs to be known within your community and your social circle. They should not be someone coming out of nowhere. A great benefit of Hebrew Israelite camps is the people being within a community where they interact with other brothers and sisters and are held accountable. If you want to know something about this or that person, you can corroborate what this person says about themselves with what the elders and leaders of the community have to say. Community allows for accountability and transparency. This is important for choosing the person you will spend the rest of your life with in sharing each other's belongings and each other's space. Marriage is how nations are built, but not everyone is capable of building. Some would do better to remain single and find other ways to contribute to the community, but this can't be everyone. Great men like Dr. King and Malcolm left a great legacy for many of us to follow, but we didn't follow it because many grew up in home environments where their wisdom wasn't passed down. Men who build empires eventually die. Who will they pass it on to? And will that person be prepared to carry it on in benefit to their community? The children are the future, and every child comes from a man and a woman coming together to form new life. How that new life is raised will determine the fate of the community going forward. The single-parent bastard child era has been a social, political, and economic abomination and failure. Compare a community of people where no one gets married and has children to a community where everyone gets married and has children. The men of both communities are productive members of society and great assets to their respective communities. Which community will endure generationally? The one where everyone has families will endure. Even the one where there is a mixture of both will endure. The one where there are no families will last one generation and everything they built will go to someone else. No family, no children, no heir. When you're gone, it's all gone. We should be teaching our people what is truly required of them for marriage and let people know the standard for being a quality husband or wife is high. We should be firm in telling people they are not good enough to be married, and they should not bother with the opposite sex until they get their lives in order. However, we should never teach nor encourage people to believe marriage is a bad idea and is something which need to be avoided. Never should we reject the institution which the Most High ordained for us to be fruitful and multiply.